you saying that other prophets like Moses or David were not described as the Son of God?
But were they described as an eternal son?
Yeah, we're talking about the beloved Son, as it's mentioned in the Bible.
Or in Mark that
but remember, Jews would have known that. They would have known it 1,000 years earlier through Solomon.
But
chapter 30, verse 4.
I'm reading this, and Jesus walks on the water, and he ends the wind. He stops the storm while they're on the ship. And then they're like, well, what man can do these things? You know, they don't see him to be God. Like, if they saw him, the disciples don't see him to be God at all. Like, they're just like, this man is doing things. Like, how is he doing all this? Like,
remember, they're going to try to grapple with situations like that based off of their knowledge of their scriptures. When they saw him walking on the water, they would have known that only Yahweh treads the water. They would have known that from Job chapter 9. In chapter 25 of Matthew, verse 31, Jesus says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his throne, glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Well, any Jew who listened to that would have believed Jesus was claiming to be Yahweh. Why? Because only God gathers the nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat and judges them. That's what we see in the prophets, Joel chapter 3, verses 1 through 3.
He even owns
but
the
Jesus
Sabbath
says,
too.
I'm the one who gathers the nations and judges them. See, the reason why you would read a passage like this and not see that Jesus is claiming to be God is because you don't know the prophets. If you knew the prophets, like rabbis do, you would understand that Jesus was claiming to be God, but you don't know him. Mikael, you should just suspend judgment right now until you obey the Quran and become knowledgeable of the prophets. That's my suggestion to you.
It is the Quran does not make it mandatory to go read and to go look into the prophets that came to the people of Israel.
It does. It does. It says always to seek wisdom. It always says to seek
knowledge and wisdom. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're telling, and it also says you should also seek. If you have any disputes within the Quran, always seek knowledge from the people of the other books.
This isn't a dispute in the Quran. This is a dispute in how we interpret the New Testament. This is not a dispute in the Quran. So it does not.
If you believe the Quran,
I agree with DL that I do need to go look into these prophets. I'm not disagreeing with you. I do believe that you need to go understand when Jesus does talk about Daniel or Isaiah or any of the other prophets that were mentioned. I haven't read the whole New Testament. I'm being very honest with you. I have put these prophets on note, and that I will go read the books that are exclusive to them. Absolutely, I'm not saying
but not only that I said so, but because the Quran says so. Like when
not because you said so. Absolutely, absolutely. To get the full picture, absolutely.
But Surah 6, verses 84 through 90, lists 17 biblical prophets. I think we've been through this before. Verse 89, it says 3 things were given to them: prophethood, authority, and a book, right? Then in verse 90, Allah tells Muhammad to follow their guidance. Based on that passage right here, the late Islamic scholar Fazlur Rahman, in his book Major Themes of the Quran, this is what he said. He said, all over the world, there have been God's messengers, whether or not named in the Quran, Surah 40, 78, 4, 164. These messengers or prophets are sent to their peoples at first, but the message they deliver is not just local. It has a universal import and must be believed in and followed by all humanity. This is what the indivisibility of prophethood means. Now, he says this because he knows Muhammad was commanded to follow the guidance of the previous prophets. But you're saying you don't have to do that, but your prophet did.
That's not
he was
what
commanded to do it. Did you guys hear him say that?
I said I don't have to go read through the Old Testament and the New Testament. It's not mandatory for a Muslim to go read the New Testament or the Old Testament.
Okay, why was it mandatory for Muhammad to follow the guidance of the previous prophets?
Because we believe all the prophets came with the same messages: worship God, abandon idolatry. Well, you have one God.
That's a single sentence synopsis. That's a single sentence synopsis. It could have been written on a rock, chiseled in a rock, and passed around for thousands of years.
No.
Isaiah has 66 chapters. Do you think that all Isaiah did in all 66 chapters is say, hey, there's one God? Come on, man. Think about what you're saying.
No. There's the prophets came with guidance, correcting, but yes, there were many forms of idolatry, and the prophets came to correct that. So we believe in that, regardless of the people, especially with the people of Israel.
And we call it Islam.